Hey there, this is Pastor Tabitha Purple. I'm on a bit of a roll, so you'll see me in the same hoodie because I feel quite comfy, but I'm doing some filming that has been building up for a while. And so today we are looking at a project book review. I don't know how to quite describe what I'm going to talk about. So I got the opportunity to go to Comic-Con Brussels. That's in Belgium. It was amazing. It was my first ever Comic-Con. It was the whole family. None of us had ever been to a Comic-Con before. And we're all in various ways obsessed with things that are part of the Comic-Con tradition. So some of us are quite in love with Marvel and superheroes. Others of us quite like Pokemon. And we're all kind of mishmashed into the world of Comic-Con, I guess, in some ways, because we like these iconic characters and the kind of whole sphere. So it was really exciting. But one of the things about Comic-Con that's quite interesting is that it often highlights long-running shows that are quite iconic. And this particular one had The Fresh Prince highlighted, which I found quite interesting because I wouldn't have thought Comic-Con would have been a place for The Fresh Prince. But I think it's reached iconic status, so maybe it is the right place. Either way, the actress known best for her role as Hilary Banks, Karyn Parsons, was there, and she was simply the nicest person ever. Like, she was so lovely. So I kept walking past. So what happened was I was quite excited to see her in person because I grew up with her character as a child. I grew up seeing this free, she was totally free, this character who had no boundaries ever, who lived in a totally different universe that wasn't constrained by poverty, wasn't constrained by colour in some ways, wasn't constrained by the limitations that we place upon us. She could do and be anything. And she was pretty, and she loved fashion, and she was funny and totally light character. There was nothing weighing her down. And so you could see her arguably as a really negative stereotype, but actually in some ways it was the fact that she was free. And so I grew up with this wonderful character who I absolutely adored. And so every time I walked past her table at Comic-Con, I just looked at her and beamed, because it just, she's absolutely gorgeous. The actress, absolutely gorgeous actress. And I was just like, wow, amazing just to see her in person. So then they were going to cancel her Q&A for some reason. There was some kind of miscommunication, or I don't know what happened. But they were going to cancel the Q&A they were going to do with her because one half of the co-stars that was supposed to arrive weren't able to be there. And I was so disappointed. I wanted to go to the Q&A. I just wanted to hear her talk and what her experience had been. And for whatever reason, they asked if she would be willing to do it alone, and in the end she did. And this is how I found out she was going to do it, because I sat down purposely because I wanted to go to hers, and I sat through 3 different talks to get to her one. And then when they said it was cancelled, I kind of got up and reluctantly walked away, like, okay, fair enough. And I was like on the other side of the hall when I heard that she was coming on, and I literally ran, carrying my child, dashed off, left my husband and the 2 other children, and ran across the hall like a lunatic, slid into the front row and looked with my big eyes at this woman like, oh, can't believe I'm sitting front row. Took a few pictures, absolutely loved it. Got to ask her some really interesting questions, and got to interact with her a bit. Really was so happy. And then afterwards we were going round for the millionth time with the children, looking at whatever we had to look at. And then we were passing her table, and I said, you know what, I'm going to go speak to her, because I wouldn't normally speak to a celebrity. Maybe I wouldn't bother. But I really wanted her to know that her character had an impact on me in such a positive way. Because I think, a lot of times we think of her in that character as a very negative stereotype of, kind of airheaded girl or what have you. And I didn't think of it that way. It was the freedom for me, seeing someone so free, so bothered by the world. And she loved, and she was happy, and she had joy. And I was like, that was totally not my lived reality. And so for me, that kind of iconic character was just great. It just embodied a lot of the freedom that was missing in the kind of daily life. Anyway, when I went over there, it transpires that this woman is even more amazing. So she has this project called Sweet Blackberry, and she basically brings small stories and her own writing to life. And so I said to her, are you selling the books? Because she was showing the books that she had. And so I got a copy of How High the Moon, which will be in the book club reading, because I'm so delighted to be able to read her work. And just an easy read, I think. It's not written for my age group, I guess. It's written for age 8 to 12, so it'll be a quick read that month. But I love these kind of books. I don't know, sometimes we get so involved as adults that we want to read, like, thick tomes of whoever, and we miss the beautiful stories in these ones. So I'm quite looking forward to this one myself, How High the Moon. And it's about a little girl who finds herself in a world determined to hold her down. So the freedom, and it's that freedom aspect. So it's really good. So I was really impressed with the fact that she's an author, she has her own books, but then turns out she has even more. So this one we did buy, and we had it signed, and the signing that she did was so personal and so wonderful. I think it made me cry, so I had to leave. But it was just, still makes me cry. It's like my favourite thing ever. Karyn Parsons thinks I'm okay, I'll be okay. She has no idea who I am or anything about me, but if she thinks I'm okay, then I'll be okay. But Flying Free is the story of Bessie Coleman's dream to fly, and she has written the book, and it's illustrated by R. Gregory Christie. And I was just so impressed with her work. She's trying to bring to life all of these stories, small stories in the States, and they even have DVDs. We've got a couple of those as well. Dancing in the Light, the Janet Collins story, which was told by Chris Rock, written by her again. I mean, the amount of writing that she's doing. Garrett's Gift, obviously we all know the traffic light. You know what, I'm just really excited. It was just really exciting to meet someone like that. So these are some books that will be in this particular book, How High the Moon, will be in the book club. Don't worry, for those of you who are like, this book club is so not for me because she's reading kids books, don't worry, there are other books that will be reviewed shortly to let you know, but this is definitely going on the list because I love a good book. I love a good kids book. I think kids books bring so many great stories to life. And quite frankly, anyone who's looking down their nose on kids book but has watched the entire Harry Potter series and is obsessed needs to check themselves. It's a book written for kids, yeah? I see you. But yeah, so this is my little ode to Karyn Parsons, whom I love very, very much. I love even more now I know her work with Sweet Blackberry and how she is trying to bring books about little brown children, black and brown people, into schools and deliver books to schools. It's a great charity. It's a great work that she's doing. Go check her out. Check out what she's doing. Support her if you can. All right. Have a good one. Bye.